We are going to talk about a pretty lame week of sales in today's What Sold video. And thank goodness, because we actually had no school today due to frigid temperatures.
It's so cold!
It hit wind chills of like negative 28 degrees, I believe.
Yay!
And that's not conducive for kids like waiting outside for the bus or walking to school. So they did the right thing. They made it an e-learning day, which meant I just had to upload some assignments on Google Classroom for my kids. And that means I get to sit here and film a bajillion What Sold videos in an effort to get caught up. And this one here is gonna be super short because I basically sold nothing this week. Let's go. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on a bunch of different reselling platforms, and although this was a very sad week of sales that we're going to talk about, there were 3 different reselling platforms represented, so we'll talk about all those platforms and the sales that I made. But that's what I do on my channel. I talk about all of the things that sold for me, and I try to give you the most transparent numbers as possible. Not just how much did I sell the item for, but also how much did I spend on the item? Did I have to offer discounted shipping? Did that item get returned at the end of the day? You know, all of the different things that I think are helpful and useful for resellers to know when it comes to information about different brands and different styles to take with them while they're sourcing. I try to share that information with you. And like I said, there's not a lot of sales that we're going to talk about in the week of December 4th through the 10th of 2023. But we're going to go ahead and dive right into them so that you can learn what things might be worth the pickup and what things you can just leave behind. Starting with December 4th, which was a Monday, I had no sales. None of the things sold, which is always super exciting.
So excited! So excited!
But moving into Tuesday, which was December 5th, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Ralph Lauren pink corduroy mid-rise ankle pants in a size 14. Those sold for $17 with discounted shipping, and that's because that sale I will credit to a Chrome extension that I use called Poshmark VA. Poshmark VA does things for me like send out offers to likers. It'll even share my closet or relist stale listings. It'll do all of that for me without me having to touch anything on my computer, which is really nice. It's a big time saver. And what Poshmark VA did for me on this day was they noticed that someone liked an item, they sent out an offer 5 minutes later, and this person accepted. So I had $2 into these corduroy pants from a reseller buyout from about 2 years ago, from a reseller who decided she wanted to focus on hard goods, and she sold me all of her clothing items. And so like I said, I only had $2 into each of those items I got off of her, and my net profit on those pants was $9.58. Ralph Lauren is a pretty good bread and butter brand for me, and this was a bigger size, but I do feel like colored pants in general haven't really been selling that well for the past few years. And you know, these were corduroy. I don't know, there were just a lot of very specific things about them that required a specific buyer, and when that's the case, usually it's harder to sell those things for a lot of money because there's not a lot of competition for that one item. The next thing to sell was over on eBay, and it was this pair of Bali Bergamo leather horsebit slip-on loafers in a men's 7.5. They were made in Switzerland. I bet they were once a really nice shoe, but these were old, like they'd been around for a while. I think they'd just kind of been sitting in my mother-in-law's house for many, many years. I don't think they were like really well taken care of or anything. I believe there was like a layer of dust on them when I got them from her, so I cleaned them up the best that I could, but really, I mean, they were kind of at the end of their life. But thankfully, I was still able to move them for $20. I didn't have any money into them because my mother-in-law gave those to me for free, so my net profit on those was $17.27. And surprisingly, those did sell pretty quickly. It probably was very much due to the fact that I had them priced pretty well, and I think $20 was an offer that was sent to me, but I think I moved those within like 3 to 4 months. So I'm gonna call that a win, but that is not me saying that you should grab every pair of super old dusty Bali shoes that you find out in the wild. Like, you absolutely should not. I was just given these for free, and that's why I went ahead and listed them. On Wednesday, which was December 6th, second $0 sales day of the week, which is sad, but it happens from time to time. Even to someone who has over 1,000 live listings on eBay and Poshmark and all those places, I have days where I don't sell anything, and a lot of that comes from me not being consistent when it comes to listing and, you know, doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing as a reseller. When I don't perform, reselling platforms often reciprocate. reselling platforms often reciprocate by not performing as well. But that does remind me, on my Instagram, which if you're not following me on Instagram, let's be Instagram friends. What are you doing? Don't you want to see cute videos of like my kids and stuff like that? But on Instagram, I've recently started this thing where every night I share my top sale of the day and I ask you guys to share yours. And it's been really eye-opening, one, to just learn about some really great brands and the kinds of things that are selling for good money, but also a good number of you will share you didn't sell anything that day, but you like sharing it because other people are sharing it and you like knowing that you are not the only one. That's another reason why I do like to make these videos. I like to share the highs and the lows of reselling, and sometimes the unfortunate reality, the unfortunate low of reselling is you go days without selling things, and that is what happened this week. I just had really stinky sales and 2 $0 sales days. But yeah, if you want to see what kinds of things are selling for good money, definitely make sure to follow me on Instagram. I do share them in my stories pretty much on a nightly basis. And like I said, it's been a great education for me. And I think it'll be really helpful for you as well. Also, I'm trying a new angle. Usually when I film in my kitchen, I'm actually sitting on the other side of the table and my camera is facing that way, but my kitchen's kind of messy. So I was like, oh, I'll just turn the camera around. And usually they say don't have a window behind you when you're filming, but I feel like it's working, except the sun is clearly setting right now and you can kind of see it going down. It is a little blinding, so I apologize if that effect is not the best. But moving on to Thursday, which was December 7th, I had just a tremendous eBay sale.
Sarcasm noted.
It was this pair of Cherokee dark blue snow bib snow pants in a size youth 3 toddler. They sold for $10. That was promoted at 3%. They were snow pants that my kids had worn, and so my net profit on those was $6.86. Just winning at life. On Friday, which was December 8th, on Poshmark, I did have a better winter sale, and it was this pair of Sorel, I just realized I still don't know how to say this brand name, but it was this pair of black Juliet waterproof ankle boots in a size 7.5. I got these in January of 2023. So I've had these for quite some time, but you know, not surprisingly, they sold in December in the peak of winter, and they sold for $51. Again, with discounted shipping because of Poshmark VA. If you would like to try a tool like Poshmark VA just to kind of be a little bit more hands-off with your Poshmark closet, I'll share my coupon code right here. It is BECKYPARK, and it helps you save 20% off of your first payment. And they've also got a really great 2-week free trial period, so definitely check it out if you feel like you're just spending too much time on Poshmark doing things like sharing your closet and sending out offers to likers. Let Poshmark VA do some of that boring stuff for you. But Poshmark VA did send out offers to likers on my behalf for this item, and so I made a net profit after my cost of goods, which was $5.99, and Poshmark's fees and the discounted shipping. My net profit, the amount that made its way into my bank account, was $32.79. Despite the fact that that did take some time to sell, I'm going to consider that a pretty good flip. The next thing to sell was by the brand Theory, which is a really great brand. It's, great quality. It's super expensive retail. It takes me a long time to move, however. It's not a quick flip by any means. This one wasn't horrible. I've had it since March of 2023, and I probably didn't get around to listing it until like a few months ago. But it does usually tend to sit for some time. But it was this blue ombre alpaca and silk blend. Just so soft and like exactly what you want to be wearing in the winter. But it was a beautiful sweater in a size medium, super lightweight, but still giving you the warmth that you want in the colder months. That sold for $42 with discounted shipping because of Poshmark VA. Are you noticing a trend here? I did have $13 into that from a local consignment store. It was probably part of like a 50 or 75% off sale that they had going on. And so my net profit was $18.58. On Saturday, which was December 9th, I had one Depop sale, and I'm not surprised that this sold on Depop. I was very much expecting this to sell on Depop. It was this Betty Boop by Goody Two Sleeves. That was the brand. It was like a short sleeve graphic t-shirt in a size extra large. I got this from a reseller buyout that I did in May, and I had about $3.85 into each item. That sold for $18, and I did pay for shipping because on Depop I do pay for shipping. I just kind of build the cost of shipping into how I price the item. So if typically, I would charge $15 for an item, and I think that it'll be like $4 or $5 to ship it, I'll say that the item is $19. So this sold for $18. I paid for shipping, and my net profit came came out to $7.06, which is not a lot, but it did sell pretty quickly. And there is a Betty Boop musical right now. It actually just finished a run in Chicago, or maybe it's still there. I'm not sure. I heard really great things about it. I wonder if that helped kind of boost the popularity of Betty Boop. I'm not quite sure. I'm just thankful that it sold. The next day of sales, and the best day of sales, was December 10th, which was a Sunday. On Poshmark, even though it was December, I sold this new attack swimsuit by the brand Cupshe. It was the style Kaylin, and it was this polka dot crisscross back tie swimsuit in a size small. It did have a high waist. That was something that I had purchased for myself. I did not like the way that I looked in it, so I just went ahead and listed it because I think it was too far past the return window. So I wasn't able to return it to the company. I did the next best thing and just listed it. It sold for $15. My net profit on it was $12. Technically, I guess not really, because I didn't really get any use out of it, but I'm just gonna say I had no cost of goods into it to make myself feel a little bit better. The next thing to sell was a pair of Echo Simply tan leather ballerina flats in a European size 41, which was like a US size 10. I did put the word neutral in the listing title because sometimes I think people are just looking for neutral shoes. Those sold for $28. I had $4.55 into them from a local consignment store's birthday sale. And I purchased those in July of 2023. So, those weren't listed for too long, and I made a net profit of $17.85. I don't have the kind of luck with this brand that I feel like a lot of other resellers do. It is a consistent seller. I just don't think I'm finding the correct styles, perhaps. I'm not ever selling this brand for a ton of money, but I'll take, a pretty quick flip with a profit of $17.85. The next thing to sell was a bundle. I do feel like I've had at least one bundle for the last few weeks, which is pretty great. It's always nice moving more than one item at a time. The first item was this vintage Boston Traders geometric alpine ski sweater in a size extra large. I did put the word holidays in the listing title, and I only had $1.82 into that from a wholesale vintage company called Fleek. So the reason my cost of goods was so low on that was because I did do a partnership with Fleek sometime in 2022, I want to say, and they gave me some credit to play with. So if I had not done the partnership with them, and if I had to pay for that entire box of vintage men's sweaters by myself, I think it would have come out to $13 or $14 a sweater. But because they gave me some credit to play with, that's why my cost of goods was so low. And then the next item in this bundle was this pair of vintage LL Bean flannel lined relaxed fit jeans. These I had $5.06 into from a local consignment store, and I've kind of had those for a while. But both of those items sold in that bundle for $50 with discounted shipping. I believe that someone liked both items. I put them in a bundle for her. I sent her the offer with discounted shipping, and I sent her a message on top of that saying, hey, I saw that you like these items. Here's my best offer on those two items, and the person accepted. So I had $6.88 into those two items, and my net profit was $31.10. And then on eBay, I sold this vintage Country Suburbans tan wool pleated elastic waist skirt in a size 14. I remember being at the thrift store and being like, should I get this? And I think the only reason I picked it up is because it was so cheap. It was $3.99. And I was like, there's a buyer out here for this somewhere. I'm just going to try it out. And it paid off in the sense that, it did sell for my full asking price of $29.99. That was also promoted at 3% on eBay. However, I purchased it in July of 2022. So definitely sitting on it for a little bit longer than I would like to, but I did make a net profit of $21.30 on it. Would I purchase that again? Probably not. I just don't want to have to hold on to things for so long. The next sale was kind of silly. It was this pair of new with tags Conscious Step blue cloud, novelty cloud print socks in a men's size 8 through 13. They were fair trade certified cotton. These basically sold for the retail price. I sold them for $9.99. I got them from a coworker of mine who gave me a ton of clothes as part of a consignment deal that we're doing. So I gave her cut of $3.07 on those, and my cut was $4.60. Normally, I wouldn't even list something like this. I just kind of assumed that they would sell really quickly, that they would be super easy to photograph and list, and that they would flip pretty fast because I figured someone would get them as a silly gift or something for the holidays. And I think I assumed right on all of those counts. And so, it was a quick flip. I normally, like I said, would not go through the process of listing something like this, but it worked out. The next sale was pretty great. Like, this is the one sale that kept this week from being just totally abysmal, and it was by the brand Jaded Bit. And it was, okay, my lips are just too chapped, hold on. I literally cannot even focus when my lips are so chapped. Double layer of protection. Okay, that's gonna last for like 4 minutes. Okay, so the sale was this Jaded Gypsy Dandelion Dreams. That was the style name. And it had this big like mermaid graphic on the front. It was an oversized shirt. Most Jaded Gypsy pieces are like one size fits most. At least that's how they size their tops. And I paid $24 for that at a pop-up consignment sale because I knew that this was a pretty special piece just from looking at it. And I do think I looked up comps while I was at the consignment sale just because I didn't want to drop $24 on something that was going to sell for like $35. And I didn't really see comps for this, which is why I was like, okay, I think this is pretty good. I don't think it's like oversaturated. It sold for $114.99 on eBay. It was promoted at 3%, and my net profit on that was $69.85. Jaded Gypsy is a great brand to be on the lookout for. It's kind of similar aesthetically to like Magnolia Pearl, not quite as like distressed and like bohemian. I mean, it is bohemian, but it's almost more like Western than it is bohemian, I would say. But it has a lot of the same characteristics. Very oversized, kind of like gauzy materials, lots of layers. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, it's not the kind of thing I would wear, except I think I would have worn this. This was pretty cool, even though that's not really my style, but like I would have worn it once or twice and been like, okay, I got my mermaid fix. I can move on to the next stage of my life. And then the last sale that we'll talk about is back to just real stinky, and it was this pink Victoria's Secret U of I, which is the University of Illinois, which is where I live, burnout long sleeve t-shirt in a size small. This is another item that I got from my coworker as part of a consignment deal. It sold for $10. It was promoted at 3%, so her cut was $2.95 and my cut was $4.43. Those were my sales. I sold 14 things and most of them sold for like under $20. Well, there were a good number of like big hitters, I guess, but a lot of smaller sales too. So on Poshmark, I sold 7 items for a gross sales amount of $203. Once you factor in Poshmark's fees and the fact that I did offer discounted shipping on a lot of those items, that total drops to $134.32. My cost of goods for those 7 items was $32.42. And so my net profit for the week on Poshmark was $101.90. On eBay, I sold 6 items and my gross sales amount was $194.97. Once you factor in eBay's fees, that total drops to $158.32. I had $34.01 into those 6 items, but my net profit was $124.31, which is more than what I earned on Poshmark. And really the main contributor as to why I made more on eBay than I did Poshmark is because eBay's fees are less than Poshmark's. And then I had that one Depop sale for a gross sales amount of $18. Once you factor in Depop's fees and the fact that I paid for shipping, that total drops to $10.91. I had $3.85 into that item, and so my net profit was $7.06. So for the week, I sold 14 items for a gross sales amount of $415.97. When you factor in fees and shipping, that total drops to $303.55. I had $70.28 into all of those items, and so my grand total net profit for the week was $233.27. Pretty sad. Pretty sad indeed. Not really the way you want to like get ready to close out the year. But those were my sales in that random week of December. It does kind of get better as we close out the year and finally catch up and start talking about 2024. It does get a little bit better. And January has gotten off to a pretty good start, if I do say so myself. So excited about 2024 and excited about just kind of taking a gentler and kinder to myself approach to reselling in the year 2024. I do talk all about that in this video right here if you haven't watched it already. But I am kind of changing things up in 2024, not taking everything so seriously, just kind of calming down a little bit. And I think that's going to be really good for my mental health and just the rest of my life. Let me know how your 2024 has been so far. I hope it's been amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.